I know this is going to be a controversial pick. It seems people feel strongly either for or against these two films. Out of the two, The OUTWATERS worked for me, and here's why. This is ML Miller Fright's Best in Horror Countdown 2022 through 2023. Counting down the best in horror within the window of October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023.
Number 21.
The OUTWATERS was released on February 9th, 2023. It's streaming on Screambox. It's directed and written by Robbie Banfitch. Four young and adventurous hikers set out to the OUTWATERS, not far from Los Angeles, but a land as deserted and untouched by man as LA is populated and molested by it. Their goal is to film a music video, but once out in the open plains, strange things begin to happen, leading to an unending night of pure nightmare. The OUTWATERS has a plot going on, but it just doesn't let you know what it is right away. It's basically a retelling of the Dyatlov Pass incident set in the deserts of California instead of the snowy Ural Mountains in Russia. Those unfamiliar with the strange incident, a group of hikers went out into the Ural Mountains for a hike and encountered something strange. Later, their bodies were found naked, frozen, and some of them severely injured with no clear indication as to why they ended up this way. If you're looking for a great film about this strange occurrence, check out Devil's Pass, also known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. Though I believe the mystery has been all but solved with the detonation of a military bomb nearby causing all of their deaths, there's still questions surrounding the Dyatlov Pass incident. What we know about the incident is from the research conducted after the incident, with no real first-hand knowledge of what actually happened. The OUTWATERS tells the exact same type of story, but the four hikers are experiencing these strange happenings firsthand, and you get to see it that way. Yes, there's no clear indication as to what is happening to the hikers, but we are experiencing the story as it happens, facing the same questions the hikers experience as it happens. Found footage is supposed to be an immersive experience, and the OUTWATERS does just that. There's just no clunky info dump crammed in explaining what's going on for the cheap seats. There are clues, very subtle ones, but if you're looking for an explanation as to why these hikers are experiencing these horrors, that explanation never comes. That said, the horrors in the OUTWATERS are absolutely harrowing all the way through. People begin hallucinating, they begin acting irrational, they begin to fight with one another. It all comes subtly and then all at once. It's quite shocking, the insane and gory places this film goes. These hikers set out to capture the raw beauty of the desert, then notice these subtle things like sounds coming from under the ground and a strange pack of wild donkeys following them. It's surreal, but grounded, and when things really start to go off course, the horrors come from the hikers' reactions to the land they are in, bringing out the worst in them. Things get super gory by the final reel, but basically the last 40 to 45 minutes is a desperate run through the worst of hells. What makes this film work is that while there is no explanation as to what happens and no strict story structure, there is still a structure, a tale being told to you in chronological order in the clips we are seeing, and it's up to us to thread them together and find some meaning to it. Unlike SKINAMARINK, which felt to me like it was just lengthy stints of static shots trying to establish a mood and less concerned about an actual story, the OUTWATERS has a story. It's just not telling us the cause behind it. We get to know the hikers as characters for a good long first portion of the film. Some might say this getting to know you time is a bit too long. Two of them are brothers, played by Scott Schimmel and writer-director Robbie Banfitch, and their bond is resonant and pertinent to the story. Their friendship with the star of the video, Michelle, played by Michelle May, feels genuine, as is their friendship to makeup designer Angela, played by Angela Basolis. These are four people enjoying themselves, and that addition of actual solid characters is what makes a world of difference in capturing my investment, whereas the non-characters in SKINAMARINK did not. Still, because you have to work for the reason behind the horror in the OUTWATERS, I think SKINAMARINK and the OUTWATERS are going to be lumped together by some. It doesn't offer any clues, but they are there. It doesn't really end. It simply kind of bleeds out slowly which made it all the more chilling for me. I get it that you don't want to go to films to dissect them and really work to find the rhyme and reason behind it. But if you're willing to just go for the ride, I think The OUTWATERS is going to affect you as much as it did for me. While I ultimately didn't feel SKINAMARINK worked for me, I do feel that it deserves to be mentioned in this countdown, which also serves as a retrospective of all of the most notable horror films from the last year. And SKINAMARINK, for what it's worth, is definitely that. SKINAMARINK was released on January 13th, 2023, and it's streaming on Shudder. It's directed and written by Kyle Edward Ball. SKINAMARINK is an art house film with a simple and very vague storyline. I'll do my best to describe it, but I feel that even this description is up for interpretation. A pair of children wake up in a home where their parents have gone missing, and so have all the doors and windows. Trapped in a world of eternal darkness, the two children go about their day-to-day business, feeling confident their parents will reappear soon to help them out. But they soon realize that some kind of malevolent entity has invaded their home and lurks in the darkness. That's kind of the story of SKINAMARINK. I mean, that's what happens, but because of one of the first lines spoken in the film, everything that occurs later is put into question as to whether or not what is happening is really happening. Yes, this is one of those films. It's going to be divisive. There will be a lot of people who praise it for being groundbreaking. Then again, there will be those who hate it for going nowhere and providing a very ethereal resolution to the challenges these children face. Unlike many reviewers, I don't try to distinguish some kind of gap between the critic and the viewer. I want to tell it like it is, from a common person's perspective. Yes, I will occasionally take a deep dive into the metaphorical or praise a film for taking bold steps to be different from the norm. But I also feel that upending all expectations is a surefire way to lose an audience. SKINAMARINK is one of those films that goes its own path, and I admire it for doing that. Is it an entertaining story? No. Sometimes. Maybe. SKINAMARINK is able to establish a thick mood of dread and solitude. It captures that feeling you get in the middle of the night when you know you are safe and sound in your home, but you can't help but give room to that feeling someone could have snuck in and have been hiding in your closet for hours, waiting for the perfect time to strike in the middle of the night when all is quiet and you are vulnerable and alone. Remember that feeling when you were a kid, when you hear a creak in the house, and even though you know your parents are just a room away, that gulf feels endless. It's that feeling that even though you know there is nothing but clothes in your closet or toys under your bed, the darkness suggests infinite terrors lurking in their place. Director Kyle Edward Ball is a master of conveying that precise feeling and does so numerous times throughout SKINAMARINK. For being able to capture that feeling and reproduce it so many times through darkened images and subtle sounds, I admire Ball's skill as a filmmaker. That doesn't give way to the fact that I felt underwhelmed by the time the credits of SKINAMARINK rolled by. This is a slow descent into darkness, an innocent mind lured into the abyss by a force that grows in intensity as the film goes on. The players are more archetypes than real characters. They are two children doing and saying exactly what one might think kids of that age are doing and saying, though I do feel that there would be a lot more crying and screaming going on if this were played out more accurately. Basically, the kids go about their day, content that their parents will show up soon, and that eventually all of this will pass and the lights will come back on. But the moment never comes. It's a scary feeling, and SKINAMARINK invites you in and holds you there, giving an inkling of that hope that safety and comfort is coming soon for a very long time, as the story is told from the perspective of these two naive kids who have no idea what is going on. But that's all there is to SKINAMARINK. And while I do feel the ending is a powerful one, I think many people who are used to a more mainstream narrative will be pissed about the time they wasted with such a threadbare story, no matter what kind of suspense one might have experienced sitting through it. SKINAMARINK never fully focuses on the faces of the children or the parents. The camera is off kilter, often focusing on banal things shaded in thick darkness. It makes you want to parse through all of that to try to understand what's going on, It's alluring in that sense, as it makes you look hard to understand just what exactly it is you're seeing through that dim light. Some of the images are disturbing, as there are voices from nowhere, floating objects, disappearing portals, upside-down landscapes, and strange nightmare faces you can only barely make out. But the vagueness of it all is not going to sit well with some. SKINAMARINK redefines narrative expectations, offering dream logic in its stead. I get that this might be a metaphor for child abuse, maybe sexual abuse, and definitely neglect. But though I don't need things spoon-fed for me, the lack of any kind of solid grounding of the story left me wanting. And I know that won't pass for some folks. It's a film about feeling rather than telling, which is all well and good, but in being so experimental and art house, I found it to be off-putting because I knew that this is not a film I would recommend to some of my more reality-based and concrete-thinking friends. Take that criticism as you will. This is not going to be a universal crowd pleaser of a movie. Your reaction is going to vary by what you want to leave a movie with, an intense feeling or a compelling story. SKINAMARINK only delivers on one of those. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your favorite horror movies. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.